What's an unfun fact? When your skin becomes red from spending too much time under the sunlight, it's basically because your skin cells are committing suicide to avoid becoming cancerous. Edit. Source link. google.com/am/s/www. livetions.com/am/38039. What causes sunburns? HTML. The process is called apoptosis. And when cells whose DNA gets messed up by radiation doesn't commit suicide, that's when it starts growing out of control and thus becomes skin cancer. I'm no expert, but many medical students and professionals I know have told me this is how it works, perhaps in an oversimplified manner. Around 1.5 million people die from TB annually, which is a disease consistently treatable by antibiotics in almost all cases. In most places where TB is endemic, HIV is also endemic, and you see a lot of comorbidity with those two. Even if people can afford and access antibiotics, their immune systems are often too compromised to fight it off. Fatal familial insomnia exists. It's a rare, incurable prionic brain disease that progressively destroys your brain's ability to sleep. Eventually you stop sleeping altogether, go insane, have seizures, and die. Prions are scary, no cure/treatment, and mostly deadly, but they're rare at least. If they became somehow common like a rhinovirus, humans would almost be wiped out. Don't give 2020 any more ideas. Brush-tailed possums are coprophagic, eat their own shit. They need their food to go through their digestive system twice to get all the nutrients. They are nocturnal, so spend the night eating eucalyptus and other plant leaves and flowers. During the day, they curl up into a little ball with their mouths closed to their bums and eat the soft poo as it comes out in. Then while they're out at night, they poo out hard, long pellets of poo, having absorbed all the nutrients. That's just gross. Gross but fascinating. How does the evolutionary chain incorporate that method into its process? I assume it's the same trait humans have. i.e., us craving salty or sweet foods. The mothballs just crave their poo instead. Such a shitty way to live. Only 1 in every 1,000 sea turtles born ever make it to adulthood. To add to this, saving baby turtles at the beach does less, almost nothing, for conservation compared to protecting adult turtles in the ocean. Another turtle didn't make it to the water. Depends on what you find as fun, but King Henry VIII exploded in his coffin while the grave was being dug. The mess was cleared up by stray dogs. Build-up of butts in his body and bottoming? Correct. Dead people can get goosebumps. How? I'm not smart, so this is copied from Google. After a person dies, the chemical adenosine triphosphate, which provides the energy to cells, depletes, and lactate builds up in the muscles. This process causes the muscles to stiffen, thereby triggering rigor mortis. As part of rigor mortis, the erector pili muscles also stiffen, giving rise to /0 goosebumps. Pretty HLLG. The first responder to die in 911 was killed by someone jumping out of a building and landing on them. The female tarantula hawk wasp stings a tarantula between the legs, paralyzes it, then drags the prey to a specially prepared burrow, where a single /0 egg /0 is laid on the spider's abdomen, and the entrance is covered. 6 of the larvae is determined by fertilization. Fertilized eggs produce females, while unfertilized eggs produce males. /0 when the wasp /0 larva /0 hatches, it creates a small hole in the spider's /0 abdomen, then enters and feeds voraciously, avoiding vital /0 organs /0 for as long as possible to keep the spider alive. After several weeks, the larva /0 pupates. Finally, the wasp becomes an adult and emerges from the spider's abdomen to continue the life cycle. With a name like tarantula hawk wasp, of course it has to do something as bad but and brutal as this. They must have been surprised to see they are actually involved with tarantulas too. The youngest person to ever give birth was a Peruvian girl, Lina Medina, who gave birth to a child in 1939 at age 5. She had precocious puberty and had her first period at age 8 months. She may have been raped at an indigenous religious festival where such things are known to occur. The man who raped her was never found, and she was silent about how she got pregnant. The delivery was by cesarean as vaginal delivery was deemed impossible. Her son was told that he was her little brother, and she also treated him in this manner. Unsurprisingly, she was an incompetent parent, preferring to play with dolls rather than tend to the baby. But that's to be expected. The case is well documented in medical journals, including photos of her pregnant body. It is also in the Guinness Book. She later married, had another son, went to work for the physician who delivered her, and lived a quite normal life. The son was healthy, but died young at age 40. She has refused all efforts to speak of the case, including offers of significant sums of money. Her family has also refused to discuss the case. As of 2008, she was still alive at age 69 and living in a slum in Lima, Peru. If she is still alive, she would be 87 years old. Link. M. Wikipedia. org/wiki/Lina_Medinoth. This is the Wikipedia article about her. A human tooth has 36 calories. What? The duck? Hey. Just think of it as a snack if you're ever lost in the wild. Suicide bombers are a lot easier to identify post-mortem than you'd expect. This is because the blast from the suicide belt hits the base of the head in such a way that the head pops off like a cork. Investigators therefore have a relatively intact head to ID. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. In response to speculation in the comments, I'd like to say that I'm not a veteran, a forensics expert, or a gore site editor, and I have not witnessed this in person. Although I have seen a couple of photos, I'm just a true crime guy who looked into the forensics after the St. Petersburg and Manchester bombings in 2017. My original source was a quote by journalist Jobby Warwick. I like Billy Canale's bit about training suicide bombers. Right, lads, pay attention. I'm only going to show you this once. Apostrophe. People who handle C***CKROACHES develop allergies to them. This usually prevents them from drinking pre-ground coffee because of the C***CKROACHES that get grounded in with the large batches. This is a viscerally unfun fact. Male cats have spines on their P***NISES that rake the walls of a female's vagina to trigger ovulation and to hold the female in place while mating. I know for a fact the female cats were not consulted about this, and the female attacks the male after they are done doing their thing. When a male bee drone ejaculates, its testicles explode and the drone dies. It is literally a one-shot wonder. This is also a drone bee's only job. The males are literally slaves only used for breeding, and when autumn comes and the hive hibernates, all the drones are forced out of the hive to die in the cold. That brain-eating amobus exists at all, and is also pretty commonly found in freshwater ponds and lakes. Apparently only 4 people have survived getting it in the last 50 years. I have a friend that got LASIK eye surgery, and then 2 months after she started getting eye pain and was losing her vision, somehow a flesh-eating amoeba got into her eye via the eye flap left over from the surgery and started eating her cornea. She was in serious pain and eventually lost all sight. Seems like they managed to kill off the amoeba, and then she got a cornea transplant. Shut was crazy. Edit. Curiosity got the better of me after literally 20k plus upvotes and a gazillion comments of her being stupid for not following protocol, so I double checked with her. She said she'd been invited to go lazy river kayaking, just a few blow up kayaks and light drinking on a slow river, too. 5 months after her surgery, had called her surgeon to ask if it was safe, and he said she should be fine as normally the outer layer heals after 5-ish weeks, and to just be safe. Nothing harrowing happened on the kayak trip. She tried her best to not actually let her head go underwater, but she had been splashed in the face a few times and that had to have been it. She was just extremely unlucky and found out that at some point after the surgery the flap hadn't settled in the perfectly correct position and there was the tiniest opening. It wasn't her fault, nor the surgeon's fault. Just an incredibly unlucky experience, and she often catches herself reminiscing, what if I'd never gotten the surgery in the first place? But she clarified that her experience was super rare and tons of people get successful LASIK and should still consider it if they wanted to. I got LASIK eye surgery. One of the things they told us to do is to not go swimming after surgery until a few months. Now I know why. Sea otters kill and rape baby seals. Not always in that order. Seagulls are also known to eat baby seals' eyeballs. Whales don't die of old age. Eventually they just don't have the strength to resurface and slowly drown. Maybe if they didn't ejaculate 40 gallons at a time they could live longer. While live another day if it's not spent ejaculating 40 gallons of semen. Parvovirus can infect dogs and cats at any particular age and kill them pretty efficiently. It's especially good at doing this with puppies. There's no cure and no antiviral. Just boosters and hydration forth you can give them when a dog comes home healthy from the recovery from a parvo infection. They're contagious for 2 weeks, and if they pee, poop or vomit anywhere at all, including dog parks, that freaking virus is able to survive for up to a year. Including in 100+ degree weather. Parvovirus sucks. Deep sea octopus babies take 5+ years to hatch, while mama octopus never leaves the nest to feed and dies when the babies hatch. She doesn't eat for 5+ years. Edit. Oh my, this really blew up. Many of you pointed out the source already. It is from Radiolab Optimum episode. I highly recommend. At least she has her mate's detached P***NIS to play with. 1. I see you've also been reading a lot of these too. Maybe if she ate it instead of playing with it, she wouldn't have to go 5 years without eating SMH. Squirrels will eat baby birds and horses will eat baby chicks, if given the chance. Pandas will eat mice and other small animals on a regular basis. Most, if not almost all, species of animals will eat other animals for a multitude of reasons. Tapeworms can grow up to 32 feet inside of you, and they eat half of what you eat. People used to consume them on purpose to lose weight. Edit. Was not expecting so many worm comments. Medically safe, or stupidly dangerous. Dolphins in captivity usually commit suicide by suffocating themselves. Famous example, Flipper. It gets worse, they do this by consciously deciding to not breathe until they die. It's less pressing a pillow against your own face, and more holding your breath so hard it kills you, and you are awake and aware the entire time. They get so bored and desperate they would rather die than live as a entertainment slave. In my opinion, it is the best example of a non-human entity demonstrating free will. Scuba divers can experience a sudden change in pressure when swimming near pipes and will get sucked inside. Doesn't matter the size of the hole. It's called delta P. Worst part? Someone else usually has to go inside the pipe to remove the body. The video of the crab being sucked into the tiny crack in the pipe comes to mind when I read this. There are only 2 states in the US that have outlawed child marriage. One of them only just put it into law a few weeks ago. 23 states don't even have an age limit on marriage. When preparing a body for an open casket, the mortician will sew the person's jaw shut to keep their mouth from flopping open and place special contact lenses on the eyes lined with hooks, both to keep the eyelid from snapping open due to shrinking tissues and to give the eye a bit more natural bulge, as the eye tends to sink into the socket after death. My father is a mortician who now works for a university, but during his time as a funeral director, he embalmed some brothers who were in a terrible accident. This was a few years ago, when I was in high school. They had been run over by a car, exposing their skulls. The family wanted an open casket, so my dad had to make them look as presentable as he could. He said that he had to fill the skulls with something hard because... yeah. He managed to make them look good and the family was happy. It's an art. A lot of it involves makeup and craftsmanship to make someone look like they're sleeping, so as not to freak out the family. It's definitely not a profession for the faint of heart. As a nurse, I've encountered many stillborn babies that I had to get creative to make them presentable for the parents to see, hold and give a heartfelt goodbye. One time my nurse coworker came to me distraught because she just attended a C/section for a term stillbirth in which the physician had a difficult time delivering. The baby's head was essentially crushed from delivery and brain matter was spilling out. It was a bad scene and my coworker needed help making the baby look presentable for the parents. I just did what had to be done using tape and rolled cotton pontoons to get the baby's face to look normal. I swaddled the little baby as best I could and cautioned the nurse not to let the parents unswaddle the baby. They had the most precious time saying goodbye to their baby. Someone took pictures and they turned out beautiful. I was so sick to my stomach knowing that I had just pieced their baby back together, but stood alongside smiling with the family about how beautiful he was. This is the PTSD shut nurses go through. I never talked it out, just went home and was grumpy with my family and sucked down a bottle of wine. Whenever anyone asks what I do and I tell them that I'm a labor and delivery nurse, I just hear back about how lucky I'm to work in such a great area. They have no idea. Thanks for letting me share. An octopus will literally rip its own P***nis off and throw it at a female, and the female ducks herself with said P***nis. Who said romance is dead? Male octopus, you know what? Denies? Go FCK yourself. Proceeds to rip off and throw duck. Oh Harold, I never thought you'd ask. You may have heard that South Koreans have a superstition called fan death, where if you keep a fan on too long it will kill you. The history of its origins is much darker. When people committed suicide and the coroner had to determine cause of death, they would say it was death by fan. This is to save the face of the family and not cause them shame. It eventually became a superstition and one that Westerners find funny. Finally, an explanation for this. My fault for not trying to find it out myself earlier. But at long last, an answer. Was wondering WTF this shut was about. First time I heard about it was when my ex, non-Korean, asked me, Korean by heritage, if me and or my family believed that leaving a fan on and going to sleep would kill us. There could be some planets swimming in the deep space without suns and even without galaxies, and you can't even see stars from their surface. Absolute darkness. Creepier is that rogue planets can theoretically harbor life. A solid chunk of Earth's heat comes from radioactive element and leftover heat at the core of the planet. If we were bereft of energy from the sun, parts of the surface of Earth, underwater, would be above freezing, and thus could foster formation of life. As dead bodies decay, they burp or release butts. For this reason, caskets and mausoleums need to be ventilated so that the gas can escape. Chickens do this too. I had a hen die of a presumed heart attack. As I moved it from the coop, it let out loud chicken noise that gave me an outer body experience. Outer body LMAO. Deforestation in the Amazon got up 55% from January to April. Nobody's watching. Slash and burn it all, so we make a couple more bucks. They really are doing that here. The world is focused on the COVID-19. So our beautiful country is taking their chance and doing some crimes to mama nature, cause duck it, I wanna die. Every unborn baby grows a mustache in the womb, which then spreads to cover the entire body. The baby then eats the entire hair called lanugo and excretes it after birth with their first bowel movement, which is a substance called meconium. What the duck? Lol, you did it, man, don't act so surprised. Female ducks get raped so frequently that they have a second decoy vagina that they can offer to intruders, so they don't get pregnant by the duck they don't want to get pregnant by. Females' primary vaginas also are twisted with spikes at the ends to fend off male ducks. Unfortunately, male ducks *NISES are also twisted. No, the trick with that is the females can reverse the twist, so it's another way for them to select who to breed with. There are at least 8 nuclear weapons known to be missing. Edit. Just woke up to this. Thank you for the awards. And thank you for wishing me a happy cake day. How the hell do you lose a nuke? Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you want more videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. You are helping me a lot. Thanks again.